apologize for interrupting your regular program.
Yo, Power Pick, hello.
Should hit these with everything we got, sir.
Living vicariously through his bizarre world.
Imagine how much protein's in my body.
This is the Bubba the Love Sponge Show.
So, Lummy, I already know that Schumacher's like a dick because he must have a real hot wife. and so while we're getting ready for, like the 5 minutes before we're on the air now, we had like this little down period, and Tony and I were kind of BSing back and forth, and we really get into some good subjects. And I'm like, I had to tell him to shut up because we were talking up I was almost doing a better interview talking to him just as a dude.
In the hot mic.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, we need to back it down. So I'm getting ready to go on the air, and I can hear him ask him to ask his wife to bring him some coffee. And so then he says, say hi to Bubba. Now, she's completely off camera because she's probably nude or in some kind of negligee. So then Schumacher, who I know has a hot wife because I'm familiar with like Leah. I know Leah's hot. That's Tony's wife. I've met Ron Capps' wife. So, I've met, Selzy's wife back in the day. And so I know Schumacher's got a hot wife. Plus, he's got money. I mean, let's just be honest. Schumacher ain't racing for a living. Schumacher's living off that battery charger money. And so he then says, you should see my wife, Bubba. So, Tony, pray tell, is your wife like super hot in some negligee right now, off camera, right behind there, or what?
No, she's walking around with sweatpants. That's why she didn't stick her head in there. She's hot as hell. I mean, you can ask all the fans. She literally has a shirt that says, I need new haters. The old ones are starting to like me. She's
Now, does she have a social presence at all on media? Does she, or did she would want to promote, or do you want people not knowing,
Now, Summer Penland, Schumacher, yeah, she's on there. Science fiction showcase. But she's just a real sexy woman. I used to race against her. Her dad, Joe Penland, owns a company called Quality Mat, makes all the mats for the oil fields in the world. Patented this. And
hold on. Not only is she hot, but she's loaded too, man. You hit the jackpot, buddy. Look at you.
I had no idea, but I was just going for the hotness. She's beautiful.
Now, Tony Schumacher on the Zoom, and I've been, I've been a big NHRA fan. My first NHRA event was 1983 at the U.S. Nationals, because I'm from Warsaw, Indiana. So my dad and I went to school in Indiana State. So my dad said, "Hey, listen, meet me at the U.S. National." I drove from Terre Haute, and he drove from Warsaw, and it was big. I think Big Daddy Don Garlitz I don't know if he won it that year, but that was our favorite. And when you'd go down there, man, you'd see Big Daddy working on his own motor. He'd have the heads and everything off. Big Daddy being there doing it himself.
He was, and he's won that race 8 times, right? And did it in a unique time where hundreds of cars would show up for that race. It wasn't like, it is now. We'll have 20 cars and show up for Top Fuel, and the competition's tougher. We're all really, really close. And, over like any sport, over the years, the competition gets tighter, better. We're all more equal. But back in the day, and when it was time for me to have a chance to win my 9th, to surpass him, he stood behind my car. And when we won the race, he clapped. And it was just a classy. The dude was awesome. We all grew up watching Big Daddy.
Yeah, and not only that, not only was Big Daddy, considered kind of, him, the Connie Colettas, and the Kenny Bernsteins, the Snake and the Mongoose, even Shirley Madowney. I mean, like everybody makes this big thing about, female sports and Danica Patrick, and then I think there's some girls now that are in the NASCAR, Haley Daly, whatever her name is, Deegan. By the way, she does great. And girls are now really Leah Pruitt. Leah Stewart, I should say. These women are very competitive. But Shirley Madowney was kind of at her and Janet Guthrie. Remember, Janet Guthrie was on the Indy 500 side, and then Shirley, she was running with the big boys, wasn't she?
She was, and Connie Coletta was a big part of her start.
Yep.
And we drove for him for a long time. Remember the old movie Heart Like a Wheel? I just watched it the other day. My wife had never seen it, and Shirley put something out on Facebook saying, "Hey, I found some old Heart Like a Wheels. I'm going to sign them." I said, "I will take 2 and buy." I bought them from her. Like this Shirley Madowney, man. She was the beginning of for women in motorsports.
Yeah.
And Janet Guthrie too.
And let's be honest. Like she wasn't. there's some girls in motor, like, let's, for instance, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but Danica Patrick couldn't drive a lick, and she was never going to, the only way she was going to run a race is if they took her restrictor plate off, and, she just didn't have the skill set. Now, she maybe had the skill set to be there, but she didn't have the skill set of, a Dale Jr. or a Tony, or that, So that was, kind of a big marketing deal and obviously sponsorship dollar. But Shirley Modowney, that old girl, she'd smoke, she'd get Big Daddy every once in a while, and she'd get Connie Collette every once in a while.
She won championships.
Yeah, yeah.
In a time where that was quite surprising. She did a hell of a job, and it led so many women. When you look at the junior dragster program now and the amount of girls, I don't know if it's 50-50 or it might be more girls. It's just it's amazing what she so many years ago did so much for the sport.
And I don't know necessarily pop culturally if she gets the credit, that she rightly deserves, because she really broke the glass ceiling. And not only did she break it, but she was competitive, won championships, like you said. Does Shirley still come by the races every once in a while?
She does. And, she's a huge Matt Hagen fan. She comes out and looks at all the pretty boys like that, but she loves Summer, too.
You're just mad because Hagen's got bigger arms than you do, bitch. You know it.
He's got bigger arms than I got a waist, man.
I met him this year at the Gator Nationals, and he's a beast. He's an absolute beast.
He's incredible. He does a hell of a job, works out. He's got he couldn't drive a dragster. He's a funny car guy.
Right.
For a funny car. That's a big boy right there. And
so can you be big? So you got to be a little bit littler for a rail than you do a funny car. Is that why Selzy, the big ass, could get his big ass in a funny car, but he couldn't get it? Well, Selzy did some dragster, I think, didn't he?
He started in dragster, man. So I started in Indy, and I started in 1996. Got hired to drive Top Fuel out in Denver, Colorado by a couple of guys called the Peak Brothers. They owned a company called Layback. And they hired me to drive the week before Indy. And I showed up in Indy in 96, having never made a full Top Fuel run. I got my license the week before, and we lost Blaine Johnson. If you remember that crash, it was awful.
Yeah.
He was going to be the champ, right? So he and Selzy ended up taking the spot of that car. And they went on and won a few championships in Top Fuel. And me and him had wicked rivalries for years. And it was just a great story because, we lose Blaine. Selzy steps in, wins some championships. Later in life, we hire Alan Johnson, who's the crew chief for Selzy at the time. We win 5 straight championships with him. It was
I think Tony, you are the only guy that won. You've won 6 in a row, 8 total.
8 total, yeah.
But we got to step it up a little bit. We haven't had one in a while, and Pops probably ain't too happy about it. I'm just saying, Come on now, the Maynard family, they need one. You better get your ass in gear right now. I'm going to tell Randy from Skag to pull that sponsorship. I'm telling you.
Well, trust me, Randy from Skag knows full well. He stands behind the car every time. There ain't much that gets by Randy from Skag. You may think he's slinging 0 turns, but that bitch knows a lot more than you think he does. He does, man. And we got the tour. We went out to Mayville. We toured that plant, and he does not only know race cars, he knows every spot in the shop. He knows the names of every employee. If you ever work for a boss, you got a guy that goes out and he kind of knows and waves and he goes, that section must be this or must be that. He knows. He's built that company. He's built that.
Did you hear I got him? And you're a Skag guy. Obviously, you drive the Skag Top Fuel, and I met Randy in Gainesville because I was doing some promotion for NHRA. And I was like, hey, listen, let's use my show because I'm familiar with the sport. I know Caps. I know a couple dudes. We'll have them on the air. And then just give me, I won't charge you nothing for advertising. Just give me, I want a golf cart. I want a all access pit pass, and I want to be right on the starting line. Okay. Now, if you can give me that. And so I got a hold of this Joshua guy from NHRA, and I way over delivered. We did ticket giveaways. We had people on the air, and so we really created a good relationship. But at the Gator Nationals, I meet this guy, this Randy character, and end up being getting to be friends with him and stuff like that. And so he gave me a free Skag to promote on my show. I own a 3/8 mile dirt track outside of Ocala, Bubba Raceway Park. So I got a badass Skag mower courtesy of Randy. So Randy and I become close. Well, I'm good friends with Deion Sanders. I don't know if you knew that or not. And so Dion one day on his Instagram says, "Man, I need me a new mower for Colorado. Like, blah blah blah." So I call Randy up and I go, "Randy, listen, Deion Sanders is one of the hottest brands going right now. He's killing it in Colorado." And he's got like 3 or 4 million people on Instagram. His social media presence is unbelievable. I think we could really do a good, can I call him up and tell him, because I guess as soon as all like Toro and Bad Boy and all these other bullcrap mowers had seen his Instagram and all these people were getting a hold of him, I'll get you a free mower. So I called Dion personally, like, listen, don't even think about going with that junk. I can get you a brand new Turf Tiger or a Cheetah 2, because Randy told me I could, delivered to your door tomorrow, Dion. So anyway, Deion Sanders has got him a Skag Zero turn right now.
Outstanding.
All because I met this Packer fan, this badass Randy dude, and Randy's been a great sponsor for you guys, hasn't he?
I drove the Army car for 19 years, and for 3 years I was off work trying to find a deal. And I thought, who in the hell is going to replace the United States Army?
They called you you were the Sarge because of it. You got a nickname because of your sponsorship.
Absolutely. And I think we did a great job representing the United States Army, recruiting. We recruited 50% of the Army. But I thought, who's going to fill the shoes? And who's going to step into a footprint that big? Randy has done it. And I am blown away because Maria, all the people, Dennis, all the people at Skag that help out, Scott, the guys in the group, in the core group, they stepped in, and at the beginning, they had never even been to a race before. Maria was the first one to come. She saw Bristol, and when I saw her at the airport on the phone with Randy saying, "You need to be at the next race." So Randy shows up in Norwalk and walks around and he looks around at the people, at the sport itself. And you've been to the drag race.
Well, and the demographics and the people that go to the races, the people that you're marketing.
Absolutely. And the mechanics too. So not only can you go out and sell mowers, but you can hire mechanics for all the dealers, 1,300 dealers around the country. It works in every aspect. And they bring out all the employees, and they bring out both the distributors and the dealers.
And if you're hungry, you need to sneak into the hospitality tent because they got it going on. That's where I figured out real fast. Hey, listen, this Skag, this looks pretty great. There's the funny car over there. There's the top view. But look at the catering. Woo!
You have a full kitchen there.
I know. It's awesome. It's so awesome.
Great people.
Anyway, now is the U.S. Nationals, by the way, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think it's the only event where they go into Monday because it's Labor Day. And so Monday's the finals, right?
It is.
You're hoping you're running Monday. If you're Tony Schumacher, you're hoping you're running Monday because it's only the finals on Monday, right?
Correct. So a couple of shootouts during the week. Saturday and Sunday they'll have different shootouts usually. But Monday is the race. It's always been
right
the biggest race of the year.
So how many? Will you guys do any? Will you pare it down at all on Sunday to get down to how many? Will you go from like 6? Like, what will you do it all on Sunday?
All on Monday.
I mean, all on Monday.
We start with 16 cars. Best 16 cars. The way NHRA works for the people that haven't been there before, the guy who makes the quickest run qualifying is the number 1 qualifier. He'll run the number 16 qualifier. 2 will run 15 all the way inside. It's gonna.
How many times? I know this is not probably the best question. Sorry, I ask hard ones sometimes. How many times has big ass Tony Schumacher, Don Schumacher racing back in the day, 100-time champion, yippee-yo, 500 Wallies? How many times has he rolled out in there, qualified P1, and then round 1 got beat by a 16 Willie? How many has it ever happened?
Ooh.
It had. Come on,
so.
It had to at least one time. Come on.
I can tell you this: in the history of the sport, I've been qualified number 1 many, many times, and I have lost. For the number 1 spot's a dangerous spot. You're teetering on the edge.
Right.
That's just a fact. Like, you are the quickest car for a reason.
You're the quickest car because you are probably the loosest, most aggressive. Double pedaling it, barely not crashing. That's fast, right? Like when you're right on the edge of losing it.
That's exactly how you're supposed to be. It's a great way, and it's what I plan on being this week. We tested in Brainerd last week and ran fantastic. We've had a struggle kind of year.
What if my girl Leah comes up and gets you a little bit? What if? Okay, well, I'm going to be so torn because I've known Tony for 23 years. Tony's like my boy. and of course Leah's his wife, but I'm sponsored by Skag, and all of a sudden, what if in the finals it's Leah versus Tony? I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't even know what I'm pulling for.
Just have your patience and wait till Tony's running Tony, because Tony Stewart is going to work his butt up.
Oh, that bit. Hold on. Don't even think about that's not what he's doing. I guarantee he might even do it next year, knowing that son of a bitch. I'm just telling you. He ain't staying in top alcohol but a minute, period.
No, but he's done a hell of a job taking his time, and I'm really impressed. I think the whole world is by the slowness and he's methodical. He's done a hell of a job working his way up, learning, understanding it. And people that get into alcohol cars, the top fuel is a big step. And I don't care. We've all done it. And
what are we talking, like 250 versus 320? Is that what kind we're talking ish?
Yeah, right. They're doing 250, 260 at the finish line. We're doing 299 at half track.
Right.
So
yeah. When at the gate, I didn't know that when I was talking to Leah at the Gator National. She's like, you don't understand. Half track on, we're not producing anything more. Like we've blown our wad pretty much half track. We're just coasting at that point.
It takes a second, because we go to half track. It takes 3 seconds.
Right.
So it's less than a second to get to the finish line.
Now at half track, are you still digging? I mean, can you still feel it? Are you just dig? Like when you're really hooked up, because clutch is everything. Right? Clutch is everything, because you got to get the donkeys to the ground. But at half track, are you still just digging, just like it's trying to tear the rear end out?
It's trying to break the car in half, man. And you're still accelerating, because you're going from 200 or 300, 290 at half track. At the finish line, you're going 335, but you did it in half a second. So in half a second, you accelerate. And we can start out with 0. We're at a dead stop. We hit the gas. We go from 0 to 100 in 0.8 of 1 second.
Where do you go? What is in 1 second? How fast are you going?
100 and plus. Because in 0.8 of a second, we get to 100.
Right. 0.8. Yeah. So you're
twice the space.
And I think before they lowered it down to 1,000. I think it was in Phoenix, if I remember right, off the top of my head. I think you set the all-time record in Phoenix, didn't you?
Well, we ran 330 in Phoenix back in '99.
Right.
Before anyone, probably 4 or 5 years before anyone else did it. Now it's gotten out of control. Like we ran 337 in Brainerd.
On 1,000.
A quarter mile. Now we're running those numbers to 1,000 feet.
Right. How much? What was it? It used to be a quarter mile, and now how many feet difference is it from when it was?
320.
So it's a football field less than it used to be.
Right, and that just gives us time to shut down. We got so fast, and some of the tracks you couldn't lengthen. Englishtown back in the day, you couldn't lengthen it. You had a road. Phoenix, you got a road. There's certain tracks you can't make them longer.
What's the sketchiest it's ever been when you threw the chutes? Maybe back in the day when it was a quarter, and like what was the sketchy? Have you ever gone into the sand?
Oh, I've gone in the net.
Into the net. At that point, man, you're thinking about how many dollars per how many dollars, and is my big ass going to make this? Right? They got you pretty. It usually takes some type of sidewall trauma or something like that. They got you guys pretty safe, I think, now, don't they?
Yeah, my dad is. I would say that a lot of people owe my dad a big old thank you that use the canopy. You see the enclosed car
right.
There were Leah's in it. I'm sure Tony Stewart will drive with it. Some of even Coletta's using one now, but and he took a long time to get in one. But the safety's so much better.
Now, do you got a canopy?
Oh, I was the first one. Yeah.
Right. I got to think, if you don't have a canopy, you got 330 mile an hour wind coming on you, right?
Well, they have a high windshield, but what you have is
right.
If someone's crashing against you, or God forbid it's you have parts and pieces coming in the car. And the whole reason the canopy was designed for the boats and the fighter pilots, you hit a bird at 300 miles per hour.
I got to think the canopy. I got to think the canopy might have picked you guys up a couple miles an hour. It might have arrowed you out a little bit. Did it?
Nah.
No.
Come on, why would you do that?
Now, so Tony Schumacher on the phone, by the way, Tony, I don't know if you know this, but in 1989, I was a DJ at B96 in Chicago. I lived in Chicago at McClurg Court.
Oh, that's cool.
Back in and back in 1989. Now you lived on the outer skirts, like were you up by Naperville or something?
I lived in Park Ridge, and then I moved to Long Grove. And Kathy from Eric and Kathy in the Morning was my neighbor, so we had a great time. It was cool growing up in Chicago. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm just thankful I'm in Austin, Texas. I mean, I was.
Well, not only that, but the winters. Let's just be honest, man. I'm from Indiana, Warsaw, Indiana, which is right by South Bend, Fort Wayne. The winters are just brutal. Like it's like, come on, man. The winters suck up there?
They do. That is part of the reason I moved, man. I watched this old man walk across the street with a cane in a snowstorm, and he didn't look left or right. And I thought, that dude wants to get run over. He wants to die. He wants to end it. I said, I don't want to be that guy. I want to grow up in a place where I'm happy every day. Everyone's chipper and smiling. Texas is that place.
Austin, well, how long? Tony Schumacher, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be at the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis, and is it Lucas Speedway? Is that the Lucas Speedway in Browns? Is it Brownstown or Brownsburg? Brownsburg, which is now I think that the Don Schumacher shop used to be in Brownsburg, didn't it? Right next to Tony's shop.
Tony, Forrest, everyone's there.
Yeah, was it like 20 years ago or something? Brownsburg made a big deal with racing, and they made all these incentives, and like oh my God, like Simpson and Impact, everybody, almost everybody. There's Indy cars out there. There's 410 sprint cars out there. There's the drag racing communities out there. I mean, it was a really smart thing they did as a community. What kind of breaks were they given to make everybody move out there?
I wasn't involved in that part of it, but they were pretty good because everybody moved. When
you got John forced to get his lazy ass out of California to go to Indiana, it's got to be worth something.
Yeah. And those two were fighting because we were doing a radio show back, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, and they were saying, "Hey man, Forrest is building a shop and it's 52,000 square feet. Perdome made his taller," and them two are arguing, and then they 50,000 square feet, 52, and Perdome decided to go higher. And they looked at me and they said, "Tony, didn't your dad build one there? How big is that?" I said, 120,000 square feet. And I was dead silent amongst Perdome and Forrest.
They're like, that damn battery charger son of a bitch, and Don's got all the battery charger. Don's got all the money, son of a bitch, got all the best stuff. Now I think your dad stepped away from the ownership, and that's where the new owners, the Maynard family, right?
Right. Great people. Clarksville, Tennessee. Just
now, is the shop now based there, or is it still back in Indiana?
Still the same shop, DSR. Still, we just rent from my dad.
Right. See, Don, that businessman, he said, "I'm still going to get a piece of the deal. I got to let me own the building. I'm going to be the landlord. You guys are going to lease for me, 100-year lease." That's Don Schumacher. That's how I do it. Hey, now I never knew that Don sold the battery company, because I've been using Don Schumacher battery chargers forever, and I was trying to maybe get a free one from you today. But anyway, it looks like Don sold it a while back.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, he did a hell of a job. He built that. My grandfather started that company with a guy named Woodward. It was Woodward Schumacher, and my grandfather took over, and it was a good company. But when my dad took it over, he went above and beyond, and he did a hell of a job for our family. And we owe him a lot of thanks, because he made it 100 times bigger and really dove into the battery chargers from transformers. Great job, man. But
well, and I think it probably also, the success of his battery charger company probably allowed him. There's probably hell, we know that one of the biggest knocks on NHRA, and I hope NHRA is not mad at me, is that they just don't pay. Like the pay for what you win is just, you have to. Sponsors are so important in drag racing, because the cost. Somebody told me it cost 10 to 15,000 a run. Is that true, Tony?
It is, but understand it's the fastest car in the world.
No, I know that, but I mean, you got. I think what will the grand prize pay this weekend? Maybe $50,000.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, so you got to have the Skags, and you got to have, the Mopar one that Tony has, and you got to have, Peak with Force. And so you establish these great relationships because they're so fundamental in being able to be competitive, because like some of the other forms of racing, the purses are huge, like NASCAR or whatever, and you could maybe almost, I guess, I don't think in any form of racing you can live off just your winnings, no matter how good you are. It's made to have sponsors. You got to have sponsors.
You definitely have to have sponsors. Drag racing by far the most. You can finish dead last in NASCAR and make a living as a driver, as a team owner, as any of that stuff. Indianapolis 500, heck, $1 million prizes.
And those guys are getting, like, the big name drivers are getting like 45% of the car. Like
most of the drivers in drag racing own a company. We own Schumacher Electric, right?
Right.
And most of the guys, pro stock guys, all the way up, they own car dealerships, and we always say that you want to be a millionaire in drag racing, start out as a billionaire, because we're going to spend more.
Right.
We do it because we love the sport. And look, let's face it, we invite every fan in. They all get a pit pass. You buy a ticket, like you've seen it.
Yeah.
Every fan gets to come in there and stand by the car.
It's probably the most. It's probably for the dollar. If not getting knick-knacked, you buy a grandstand pass this weekend for the U.S. Nationals, and you literally watch all the drag racing you want. And when Tony Schumacher's back after his run, you can literally walk down the thing and you can because Tony will come out. All the drivers do as they're getting, I think they got like 52 minutes to a 52-minute clock to completely go through the motor. But during that time, I don't know if you pack your own chutes or not, Tony, but during that time, it's so fan accessible. If you want a picture with Tony Schumacher, you will get one if you just stand there by the car long enough. During one of his runs, he's going to come out to the line. He's going to sign for 10 or 15 minutes before he's got to get back in the car. It's so user friendly for no additional dollars. Like the lowest grandstand pass can get you to meet Tony Schumacher this weekend, or Ron Capps, or Tony Stewart, or any of them.
Absolutely. And, if you're waiting John Force line too long, you're probably going to miss me. But that's what I always tell people. They'll go, hey, man, I stood out in your line. And I go, wait a minute, man. I've signed everyone in my line. I said, the only way you can possibly miss me is if you wait John Force line too long and you don't get over it.
Yeah, if you went to the John Force, if you just had to get Force and you were last in line, you might not get to see Tony. But that's the only excuse, right?
Only excuse, because everyone there knows that I'm by far the one that stands out the longest. Win, lose, or draw. We haven't had the most awesome year. We're going to turn that around this weekend. But when I get beat, and when I get beat early in the rounds, I still come out and sign. I'm like, I am angry. I'm disappointed that we got beat, but it's not the fans' fault. And understand, if you're a fan, you're going to get that autograph, and you're going to get a smile, because you are not the reason I got beat.
What if I put a Bubba Army sticker on your car, a real little one, like on the side, and you won? Then that would be like your superstition. Then you have to have one all the time.
If you're going to be at Indy and you bring a Bubba sticker, I'll put it on my helmet. And then if I win it, I'll be everywhere. I don't think Randy wouldn't even have a problem with that.
And then Hagen would be so mad at me because Tony's my boy. I'd be like, hey, you put a Bubba Army sticker on our competition? I'd be like, yeah, it's my Skag deal. I had to do it. He made me do it.
Yeah, well, yeah, and if no one's listening to this at all, they'll believe that. But
no, everybody. Tony will watch this show in a minute. You never answered my question. If it's you versus Leah in the finals, I think I gotta. What's that you're answering for me? Yeah, Tony.
I mean, if I win Indy this year, it's the 11th Indy. No one's ever done that in the history of the world. You got to pull for those.
Yeah, you got to pull for the old timer that's getting ready to rack up 11. Come on now. Even though a U.S. national win for Leah would be her first, and it would be just huge, It's not my problem. Are you saying I hope the bitch blows up? Is that what you're saying?
I don't hope she blows up. I just hope I beat her by inches, It's a good old-fashioned drag race, man.
Yeah, it would be. So you're saying best case scenario, you and Leah, it's going right down to the shootout. You guys are tied at half track, and just your clutch just does a little bit more something, and you get her by 4 inches.
That's it, 2 inches.
You got the Wally in your hand and your Bubba Army sticker, and it's just going to be great.
In the corner.
Well, hold on. Then Tony gets mad, tries to come fight you, and then he sends Gooch, the gas man, to come get you, and now you're in trouble.
I'll take them both. Bring them. Come on.
Then Hagen comes down there and starts doing curls to show off his arms.
He could curl me.
Hagen's so I think Caps is winning by like 21 points over Hagen, but Hagen won like 4 races, didn't he?
He's won a couple, I know for sure. They're going to go down to the wire. They always do. Forrest will be there. Come on, Hyde will be there. Jared Todd will be there. It'll be when they're going to take all them points away this weekend, anyways.
Well, that's right. They reshuffle after this weekend, right? Or is it before this weekend they reshuffle?
Now's the time. So you could have run great, and all the people. We all know how to do this, man. We save the discs that are going to work later. We save the clutch parts that are going to work later. We know what the tune-ups are going to be for later. And people that seem like they're struggling early in the season may have parts for the finishing, the last 6 races. This ain't our first rodeo.
One of the most amazing things, man, if you go to the U.S. Nationals and you're down there watching, the Top Fuel or the Funny Car, and just watch how fast these guys can completely down to the short block. I mean, literally the only thing they keep is the block. That's it. Oh. That's it. And I mean, do they keep this? Do they inspect the crank? Will they put the crank back in? So
they'll pull all the mains down, and if the main spun or something's black or something, they'll pull that motor out. Motors are lined up, ready to go. Clutches. When you come in, every fan doesn't get to go in my trailer because there'd be no time.
I'm going in there, bitch. Don't even say. Okay, I'm telling you. I'm telling the PR person, I'm Bubba. I'm pre-approved. Come on now.
And I have a sticker for the helmet. Remember the sticker?
Exactly.
So when you come in there, it'll say clutch pack 1, for run 1 Sunday. On Sunday or on Monday, this race, they're lined up, and there are 4 of them ready to go. Each one's ready to go, exactly ready, because we don't have time to figure it out at that point.
Right. Now, can you make clutch adjustments based on, on weather? Would you make a clutch adjustment, or are they already preloaded, ready to go?
Absolutely. No, as soon as we're going to make head gasket changes, we're going to spin the blower a little quicker, a little slower, depending on the air. It looks like we're going to have some heat out there. So
yeah, it's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot because the track gets hot if it's slippery. We're making 12,000 horsepower. We got to slip a 6-disc clutch through 12,000 horsepower, right? And we got to get at the hook to these tires, which are made of basically rubber, right? Basically an oil-based material hitting the racetrack, which is asphalt, which is basically an oil-based. So the hotter it is,
the more oil comes up.
More oil comes up, and more sun that's out, the more we got to slip that clutch.
Now, is that where you got to? I mean, are you just gunning it at green, or are you cognizant of maybe spinning the wheels because it is hot, or is your setup guy already put that in configured that out and know that you're not smart enough to go half throttle Willie and then start that you just smash the gas and go? Like, I mean, how does that work?
He definitely knows I'm not smart enough to go halfway. Those guys are. We've been doing this for a long time, and me and the crew chief, we've worked together a long time. They know how to slip. That doesn't mean it's not going to spin the tire.
Now, is that last minute, right when you burn out, you roll it back, the guy's giving you the hand signals, boom, 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 how you get down in there, you take a chunk out of the clock, and then is that guy that comes in and he makes that last little adjustment. Is that the adjustment that is the difference?
No, that's it. He's just turning the barrel valve on, giving it all the fuel.
Okay.
It's the amount of fuel that the engine.
So he's just making sure you're full fuel because they put a little fuel stick in there that you can only go like 1/8 pedal when you're doing a burnout, right? So a guy doesn't really light him up and go all the way down there.
Well, you just blow the motor. You literally blow the motor up on the burnout. So all we're doing is heating the tires up, back them up, and then they take the little throttle stop off. When they give me the go ahead, the 2 crew chiefs look at each other, nod. You'll see them on TV.
Right.
They're setting the barrel valve however they want the barrel valve set, which is the fuel it sees at the initial hit of the throttle.
Right. So they might turn that barrel valve down if you're throwing.
They have a preset. They're going to say that thing when I start the car or when they start the car. Remember, I don't even have a key to start the car. I'm holding the brake with my foot on the clutch. They spin it over, squirt the gasoline in it, it starts it up, and I switch it over to nitromethane, and the motor goes from that sound of gasoline to nitromethane. You hear that thing pop.
Yeah, then your eyes start burning if you're close enough. Yeah. And the thing about it is I've taken many people on the launch line and that have never been there, and I've probably been maybe to 6 or 7 or 8 launch lines, but you never can prepare yourself for how violent it is. And you certainly can't even explain to a person that's never seen it. There's no way that you can. The only way I could contribute is like if you were standing next to a jet when it was first just taken off with its afterburners. And you think about it. There's a human being in there with that's just trying to hang. I mean, literally, I know you're just hanging. I mean, I know you're skillful and all, but you're just hanging on, buddy. I mean, you're just pointing that rail in the right direction, aren't you? You got to be. You're just hanging on for dear life.
Well, the problem with those cars is they don't want to go straight. I had a quote the other day, and I said, man, the reason the cars go straight is because I don't want to die. And that's the truth. Like, you hit the throttle on that thing, the back slides out, and the car moves all over the place.
Right.
You're white knuckling the thing down the track. And the guy who can keep it the straightest, generally speaking, is going to be the better driver.
But you got to make small. You can't make big, wide
Very
adjustments
small.
on. That's why it's just you're just literally pedaling it down there, aren't you?
Lots, 1,000 small moves rather than some big ones. Once it's a live axle, both tires are turning together. These cars are beasts. And they're driving that car, trying to drive it under the front of the car, over the front of the car, and around the front.
But I'll get Ronald. I'm going to get Capsy on tomorrow, and he's going to call you dragster drivers pussies because you guys' wheelbases are so long, and they're like driving Cadillacs, he says.
Ask him about testing my Army car once.
I will. I'm going to say, hey, Schumacher said about when you were testing his Army car. Well, I think he actually won a Wally in a dragster. I think Ronnie.
Prim racing. Years before I even started Top Fuel, he won for Roger Prim. I remember that, yeah.
And I'm happy for Ronnie because Ronnie took a big leap of faith. He knew he had Napa, he knew he had a sponsor, and so Ronnie's like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. And there's not a lot of guys, that are doing that. And and he's at the top of the points right now. Him and Hagen.
He's awesome. And and their pit's connected to mine. So me and Ron Capps, when he got his first contract with Prud'homme, we were at our house down in Florida. I was with him. I was with Shelly and the family, and we were all hanging out. And he got the phone call, and they were negotiating their first contract. So to watch a guy go from that moment where you're negotiating your first contract to owning your own team and winning a championship.
And winning a championship. And you know what? Ronnie Capps is he's like the Tom Cruise of NHRA, is he not? He's just a good-looking guy, got a great smile. He's just a great guy. I love him. Completely opposite of my good friend Gary Selsey, who's kind of rough around the edges. You go and take down to the country bar and get in a fight with.
I always wanted to get in a fight with Selsey because we raced each other forever. We hated each other for the first 5 years.
Really hated.
Couldn't stand each other.
Really?
Yep.
Now how about?
Then we worked together.
Yeah. Then he drove for Schumacher. How many championships did he win for Schumacher? 1, 2?
I think one.
One. Yeah, one. He's funnier than hell, though. You get him drunk, man, he has no filter. I had him on the air one time. Listen to this. So I had him on the air one time, and he didn't know that we were on the air. We were on Sirius XM, and it was when he was driving for Dodge Mopar, and he had this really big Mopar deal, and we got him all tuned up in the green room on Miller Lights, just got him drunk as hell, and he didn't know we were on the air, and he was saying some very inappropriate language about just whatever. And so he gets done. He's drunk. The show's over. I get a call an hour later, and the show, it was on Sirius XM. It would be done, and then another show would run, and then my show would repeat on the overnight. And so Selsey called me and goes, "Hey, can you cut out my appearance on your show because I said some stuff and I don't want Kevin Miller from Mopar to hear it, and so if I could really maybe lose my deal from this." So I had to completely have all the producers cut out the Selsey stuff because he didn't want the sponsor to hear it, because he knew. I mean, it was. I'll tell you this weekend when I see you what he was saying. It was so bad. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, I lived around him, so I can imagine. We had great back in the days, man. We had great times. Remember when we started, cell phones were pretty new.
Right, and there was no pictures. Worried about somebody taking a picture.
Exactly. So it was a crazy world. We've all grown up and paused that part of our life. But I can imagine his crazy stories. I raced him.
Anyway, Tony Schumacher, 8-time champion, 6 consecutive. A lot of people don't realize how, NHRA, NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson, obviously 7, Lewis Hamilton, you're right up there with the greatest. If you talk about motorsports, there's not a lot of people that have won the championship 8 times, 6 of which consecutively. But Tony, it's time to start winning again, buddy. Let's, come on now. We've had a little bit of a break since our last championship, so we got to put a fire underneath that ass. Come on.
Absolutely. We finished in 18 was the last year we got to represent the Army. We finished number 2, and we were racing against the Torrances, and they had a hell of a team at that time, and they still got a great team. But they beat us. We finished number 2, and then I was out for 3 years.
Right.
So this, last year was a team where we just really got, here's what's left, go race, and we did. We did a good job trying to keep up. We won Seattle with it was just everything that Leah didn't buy when she left. We were trying to scramble and get the team together.
Leah had that Tony checkbook, so she was in there.
All our parts, chassis.
Yeah, you're like, bitch, we can't buy it all. We got to have something to try to do something with.
All our trailers, we were just left with what we had. And then this year, we have all brand new DSR parts, man. Best of the best of the best. My dad builds great stuff. We have new chassis, new everything. And Mike, you've been watching this sport for a while. So Mike Neff, Zippy, my crew chief, who's worked with Forrest, who's worked with Tasca, he's getting his handle on this. And we tested there in Brainerd, and we ran quicker than anybody else testing. And we knew we were getting close. So what a great time to bring out a winning car, Indy, with a countdown coming up. And
again, if you would win Indy, this would be 9, wouldn't it?
It would be 9.
9, and 11. No, 11. This would be 11. And who has won the nationals? What's the most national dragster wins?
Me, by far.
10, right?
Yeah.
But who's second? Who would be second?
I think someone might have won it 2 or 3 times. I don't know.
Yeah. So look at you. You're the goat. You're the goat. You're the goat of the facility we're going to. What are you even worried about?
Well, I'd like to win it more.
I know. I know. I'm pulling for you, my man.
Number for Leah. No bullshit. Just because you got a free skag. Okay, I get it. No,
I told you that you and Leah in the finals. I'm gonna be behind your car. That's where my alliance is gonna be, and I'm gonna have to tell Tony, hey, buddy, I'm going with my buddy Tony Schumacher. Tony S.
Here's how I picture it. You're at the start line, right? Standing behind my car, and there I am, boom, and I win by 2 inches, and you for a second go, yeah, but then you look at Tony Stewart, and you're like, damn.
No, I'm getting on my golf cart, and I'm going down to the strip for you to take your pictures so I can get a picture with you. That's where I'm going, buddy.
Oh, we could some more nights, tell some real stories.
I can't wait to. I love watching your guys tear the part. The now, do you pack your own chutes and do all that, or you got people doing that for you?
I can, but James on my team does it. He does a real good job. They've been opening on time, and I'm not going to take a chance. So he does a heck of a job. All the guys, man.
That's actually the most important dude there is, because if those chutes don't go out, you're Sand Trap Willie, are you not?
Yeah, I really like that guy. He does a good job. But think about this: in real life, I do 200 speeches a year, and I talk to kids, and I always say this, man: you get in that canopy, and they start that thing up, and they shut that canopy down, and you're sitting in that car, and you're about to do a burnout, but you see your 9 guys, and they're all running around, they're doing their things. If you picture your 5 high school friends working on that car, wouldn't you get out? Because you know you're going to die.
Yeah.
Think about your 5 high school friends. Your 5 high school friends were fun to party with, but they do not belong working on that damn Top Fuel car. When I do lessons to kids in high school, I'm like, don't be that guy. Be the guy I want around my race car. Come with some A's. Come with an effort. Show that when I get in that race car, I'm going to go 330 miles an hour. You're really good at your job. Not decent, but pretty good. I need,
you got to understand, this is a form of racing. I hate to bring this up because it's like a very taboo subject, but this form of racing can kill you faster than any form of racing, period. And especially on the funny car, dragster level, the Top Fuel deal. It's just, it's just unconscionable how fast you're going, and it's a controlled chaos. And so, yeah, from the guy that's putting the gas in it, to the guy that's packing the chutes, to the guy that's putting the left side head on, to the guy that's dropping, dropping the chart. You got to have confidence, because your life, 5.5 seconds of your life is dependent upon whether they torqued that head bolt or not, right? Every aspect of that car has been gone through by somebody you trust, period.
Every time. And that's the thing. It's not like you go, okay, they did a hell of a job. The thing's running good. Let's make 5 runs. You make one run, and they got to take it apart again, and you got to know that they're doing it right again.
Now, Tony, let me ask you a question. As much as it is engine, because it is engine and clutch, but is there like I come from the sprint car side of things. My son drives a sprint car and a late model on the dirt deal, and it's all set up. So, you'll find a right front bump steer set up, or you'll find just a trail arm setup or something like that. But like, is there any type of chassis setup component to winning, or is it just is it so primitive where it's literally just a rail, a front axle, two small bicycle tires, and then is there any type of chassis adjustment you guys can make at all?
I think definitely. I think the location. So as you're designing a car, location of where the driver's sitting, right, forward, back, relation to the motor, how far back the motor is. Then underneath you got the blocks, right? So skid plates, when you hit the throttle, that car drops and will hit the wheelie bar.
Right.
Lift up the skid plates down there. How hard they hit, how far you let the car drop. These are fine tuning things.
Those are things that you actually are working on at practice, probably. Like how
Absolutely.
much you're making the carriage drop, how stiff the wheelie bars need to be, how much offset you need. Those are everybody's motors. I mean, let's just be honest. Everybody's motors relatively close, probably, right? I mean, there's not some guy who's got some head polishing a head deal that you don't know about, right?
Can't be done because the NHRA is watching for that.
Right.
We're staring at the cars like Rubnik and Brittany Force right now when they're running big speeds, or Mike Salinas. You see them go out and run 338. You go, shit. Okay. Where do they start? You can look at those skid plates and evaluate how did a car just run a 365 in the heat when we thought 370 was good enough.
Right.
It's little details. At that point, if you can get the car moving early in the run, real early, 60 foot really well, if you get that car zipping along, look at that, huh? Is she pretty or what?
Oh, yeah. Little short hair action there. Not a lot of women can pull that off. She can pull it off beautifully. I know it. Yeah, hell yeah.
Bubba.
Tell her I'll be seeing her this weekend.
Look at that picture right there. That's what I look like.
I can't see it. It can't see it. Oh, there you go. See, that's what you need. You need to have a little bit more of that picture and less of your stupid ass shoulders and more of that picture in there. Okay, that's. See, right there. See, there you go. I got your good traps. I got your decent chest. I got I got your Paul Bunyan. I got your skag. I got your millennial beard, and then I got your hot ass wife in a mini skirt up there, and with a dog bark kicker. I mean, what else do I need? I mean,
Rambo, come here.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog you got?
He's a little mini pinscher. Rambo, come here.
Rambo.
This dog is the best. Say hi.
He's like, screw it. Get me out of here. I need to get.
What the hell? On a TV?
And he's got that badass underbite too. Where he looks mean and he's not even trying to be mean.
Yeah, I was watching Sharktopus the other day. You ever seen those little mix between the shark and the octopus?
No.
It's great. Then you can get Barracuda. What's the one? Sharkuda. Anyway, they're fun old movies. You see them in barbershops, And I'm thinking he got merged with a mako shark because his teeth go.
He does. He's got those things kicked out wide, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're going to fall out soon, but.
Well, listen, Tony, I can't wait to see you. I'll get there Friday, and Rico from Fatheads got me all set up with American Heritage. I got listen how good a setup I got, Tony. I got an American Heritage 43-foot badass RV. I got a golf cart. I got all access. Any pass I need. I got media credentials, so I mean, I'm a guest of Skag, so I can go and eat all I want. I mean, all I got to do is just come hang out with you a little bit now.
Well, good, because my American Coach is probably parked right next to your American Coach.
Yeah, I'm right by Rico's from Fatheads.
I'm right there too, so we'll be all having ourselves a wobbly pop at the end of the night.
We will be, and wait till you see my girl. I bet you my girl's boobs are bigger than your girl's.
Well, it's a challenge.
We'll have to have a drag race on boobies, okay?
All right.
Hey, I'll see you Friday, my friend, and I look forward to having you on more often, just talking about the sport and and the next Wally you win, bitch. I'm going to be the show that you do on Monday after your next Wally. Well, let's hope that it's this Monday.
Sounds great. I
God,
look forward to it.
How cool would that be? Hey, listen, good luck to you. Nice to meet your wife. Nice to meet your undertoothed dog. And I can't wait to see you on Friday. Be looking for you because it looks like our buses are going to be. Boy, we really sound like some big timers. Our buses are. Lummy, my bus is going to be by Tony Schumacher.
Tour bus driver parked it here. So my tour bus parker is going to park it right there.
Yeah.
I get the back. My driver, my handler's going to put it in a good spot.
That's right. See, I got Rico as my handler, so you probably got me on that one.
Well, Rico's good, man. He'll bring you some fatheads. They're great sunglasses.
Oh,
too.
they are great. They are. I've known Rico for years. Have you ever been to Rico's Indy 500 suite before?
And I've only been to once. I've only been to the back in the day. Bill Simpson had me up in the suite.
You need. Oh, that's a neat experience. Being a motor racer. That's a neat experience. Well, listen, hey T, I will. I'll see you on Friday, and tell your wife thanks for being so cool and hot, and more importantly, I really am pulling for you to get that Wally on Monday. I'm gonna have to tell my friend Tony Stewart I'm gonna have to go with another Tony this weekend.
Sounds great. He likes me too. It's okay. We're good.
Good talking to you, buddy.
All right, see you.
Bye, Tony. Thank you.
What a great
I love that guy. That guy's good. I look forward to having him on, from time to time. He's just a regular dude.
Yeah, it looks
He's
like
the kind of guy that you want to take to, because you know what? If you got in a fight at a bar, he'd be there with you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course, yeah.
I can't wait to see his wife. She looked pretty hot.
Yeah.
It's a sign. The end times are here. Ultra-powerful hurricanes, tsunamis, massive earthquakes, and Bubba, the love sponge.